Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing the K-1 Fiance visa. We're specifically discussing it in the context or in front of the backdrop, if you will, of this COVID-19 or coronavirus crisis. The specific issue we're discussing today is the meeting requirement and how COVID-19 or coronavirus is sort of having an impact on folks who are looking to get a fiancé visa. So first of all, let's do a little bit of background here so you understand. Those who are filing a petition for a foreign fiancé to come to the United States need to have met with that foreign fiancé within a 2-year period prior to the date of the filing. So a calendar 2-year period prior to the date that the petition is received by the United States Citizenship and Immigration Service, part of the Department of Homeland Security. So there's this 2-year meeting requirement. Next, it should also be understood a lot more clients I see these days meet their fiancés, especially out of Southeast Asia, online. They meet online through various channels. Facebook seems to be especially favorite amongst a lot of the couples I've seen process through in the last couple of years. But they meet each other in online chat rooms or whatever, and they form a relationship, and it's a relationship that leads to marriage, etc. So how is this COVID-19 impacting this 2-year meeting requirement? And also understand, there are exceptions to the 2-year meeting requirement. It's pretty difficult to overcome the 2-year meeting requirement. Generally speaking, the officers at Department of Homeland Security are going to want to see that. It's considered a pretty hard and fast rule. I have overcome it in certain cases on behalf of my clients over the years. It is a tough hurdle to overcome. They really do want to see some pretty compelling evidence in order to allow for a K-1 visa application to be approved, notwithstanding the fact that the couple hasn't met. And there are certain criteria that are kind of well established wherein this meeting requirement will be waived, but they're pretty few and far between as far as the hard and fast exceptions. I've seen cases come up over the years that there were just especially medical considerations that came up where it was just an impossibility, and USCIS ultimately approved based on the evidence we presented to them. COVID-19 poses a lot of different dilemmas for a lot of different reasons, not least of which are certain restrictions that have been placed on the immigration apparatus by this administration. But first things first, if you have met your fiancé within the past 2 years, but it has been a while, we see this actually rather frequently with people that work in the United States and they can't get away to Thailand all that frequently, but they maintain constant communication with their fiancé here. It just happens. A year can get away from you much more quickly than one would think. And sometimes, especially offshore guys, I've seen that have a fiancé here in Thailand, or folks that are working up in Afghanistan and Iraq. Less so Iraq these days, but it still comes up. We see those kind of folks who they just, time gets away from them, and a year will go by and they won't have met in person, but they've still got a strong relationship. Their communication with their fiancé is continued. For those folks, if you're still within the 2-year window from the last time you met, you need to seriously consider getting your case on file if you're looking forward into this sort of vast horizon of COVID-19 and the problems associated with traveling to and from Thailand, for example, or some of the other countries here in the region that we deal with, Cambodia and Laos, for example, and you're looking at trying to get here to meet again. If you've already met in the last 2 years and you have made the firm decision that you have decided you want to get married, it may not be a terrible idea to really seriously consider getting your case on file before the 2-year window passes by, because it remains to be seen exactly when the free flow of travel is going to recommence. I do believe it will recommence, but exactly when remains to be seen. So, if we're making this video in April, if it's been 2 years come July that you last saw your fiance. Might not be a terrible idea if you were planning on coming in and sort of filling up that tank, if you will, with respect to your meeting requirement. Might not be a terrible idea to really start considering getting that case on file sooner rather than later, so that you will have met within the 2-year time period prior to a visa or a visa petition being filed. The other thing to keep in mind with respect to this is, yeah, under certain circumstances, it may be possible to get a waiver of the meeting requirement if, for example, 2 years has already elapsed and you were planning on coming in and COVID-19 stopped that from happening. Maybe. I think under those circumstances or circumstances similar, it's a really good idea to contact a legal professional, because that's going to be a case that needs to be made, and making that kind of case is not something that I personally think is going to be best done sort of DIY. I especially don't think it's a good idea, having someone assist that just fills out the forms and all that nonsense. The COVID-19 is putting a lot of otherwise, for lack of a better term, standard or routine cases, it's changing the complexion of them. And it's causing these cases to definitely be less straightforward than they once were. So for those of you who have yet to see your 2-year window elapse, probably not a terrible idea to start seriously thinking about getting a case on file. For those of you who have yet to meet, that's a qualitatively different thing. And for those of you who have seen your 2-year window transpire, but you were planning on coming in order to deal with perhaps a K-1 visa or maybe a marriage visa, and you couldn't get around to it, seriously, it's a good idea. Contact a legal professional in order to get some clarity on how this all works based on your specific facts in your specific case, because there may be a way forward, notwithstanding all the rules that are in place and notwithstanding all the problems that have come up because of COVID-19. But until you've really had somebody review your situation in order to provide some advice on it, it's really difficult to say exactly what that way forward is for those who are looking to get a K-1 fiancé visa for a loved one abroad.